Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
TRE in the afternoon. Presented by Hannah Murray.
Good afternoon. It's just gone 5:05. You are listening to Women Talk. With me in the studio today is Nikki Broom, Georgina Shaw and Rosalind Scott-Gibb. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you all for coming in. If you are listening at home and you want to get involved, you can. Here's how.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95.
What a beautiful day, it's a wonderful life.
Now, some of these articles are recycled from last week's Men Talk, but I do like to share some of the articles with both sexes because you often get a different response, and this is one of them. Formula for happiness. Find joy in the small things. It's often said that happiness is finding joy in the little things in life, and now scientists appear to have found the proof. Taking just 5 minutes a day to perform micro acts of joy is enough to banish stress, boost health, and improve sleep quality. They found that listening to laughter, admiring a flower, or doing a nice thing for a friend can measurably improve a person's well-being and attitude toward life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I do twice a week, and I always talk to the pigeons. There's a little park in San Pedro, and then I decided to start feeding them, and I buy good food, good seeds and everything. I go twice a week. I have my own flock now, and I go hola, hola, and they all come down. 21
Do
of
you
them.
sing
And,
Phoebe?
they all come, and they really we know each other, and you can hear. You know how like a cat purrs, they go 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 go, and we're really pleased to see each other.
How lovely!
And you know, if people knew how much pleasure it gives you to do this, like so much more than you can even describe. And I always I talk to them as well the whole time I'm there until they're finished, because I want them to also know that some humans are really kind and caring.
Yeah.
So I talk to them because so nobody will come up and send them away.
Yes.
You know, and chase them away.
They can see you've got some dialogue going
conversation.
on. So they leave you to it.
We should have bumped in.
So I highly recommend it. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I think in the article what's really lovely is when you just go into a garden and look at a pretty flower and you just see them all, particularly here, the flower's so colourful. Or if you just have looking at a beautiful rose that's opening, it's so simple, and for me that just does give you immense joy. And it's just so pure and beautiful to look at. I think that's really nice.
I think it's quite similar to the, finding gratitude, isn't it, in things as well. Just kind of taking that moment to think, I'm lucky, how thankful am I for these things. And when we're in such a beautiful place, it's very easy to find things to have joy to inspire us. It wouldn't be the pigeons for me, though, because I'm very scared of birds. So that would be like my actual worst nightmare.
There's another suggestion.
Yes, there's more animals, Georgina.
Okay. There are other things. Well,
rats.
Another thing that one might not realise, but I really feel it would apply to anyone. So a group of us started an eco group in the church a few years ago. Actually, it's about 6 years ago now. But we go around picking up the cigarette butts and beer bottles from the beach. Now,
really
picking
good.
up a cigarette butt is the simplest thing in the world, but it's amazing feeling of doing your tiny little bit for humanity.
Giving back.
Yeah, definitely.
It really, really works. Something so simple, again, really, really works.
I think also with children as well, just when kids and gratitude. At my kids' school, they did something called paying it forward, which I think is well known anyway. So like if somebody does like a nice deed for you, then you pay it forward and do a nice thing for them. So it creates the momentum of people always naturally like giving back. And like you say, when you give back, irrespective of what it is, it does create joy because you think I've made somebody else happy, and then that sort of in turn makes you happy.
Yeah,
which is nice.
It is. It's a lovely thing to do.
Just one more thing on that. What you were saying, Georgina was saying about gratitude, but it's simple. Just repeating or writing down or stating a gratitude list, things you're happy about, like the fact the sun's shining, you woke up feeling good, whatever it is, 5, 6, 7, 8 things can change your mood. People who are prone to depression, it can help a lot.
Yeah.
And it was suggested doing it out loud, speaking out loud, like in the car, for example, is really very, very effective.
Especially when we're all so busy. We're all busy all the time. We've got to finish this because we've got to go there, and then we've got to do that, and then we've got to get changed because we've got to go. We're really busy. So taking those few moments, just going, oh, look at that blue sky. Isn't that beautiful? Just those tiny little things, which, as you say, Georgina, are so easy to do when living in such a beautiful place. But just taking those minutes can make a huge difference to your day.
Yeah.
This is a funny one. No one likes a braggart, but it seems you can have a luxury lifestyle without annoying people if you boast about what you've done rather than the stuff you've bought. Flaunting a fabulous experience, such as a Michelin-starred meal, rather than a designer watch, allows you to convey status while still being liked.
I think this is quite funny. It is funny. I think the key about that is just don't boast.
Well,
do you know what I mean? It says boast about a restaurant rather than a watch. Just don't boast. Why? Buy a watch because you like it. Go to a restaurant because you like eating the food. You don't go there because you can tell other people. You go there because you like the watch or you like
the word boast is a really kind of negative. I sort of saw that as maybe on social media. When you're sharing something on social media, sharing an experience on social media, people are more likely to go, "Oh, that looks nice. Where's that?" or whatever. If you go, "This is my new watch I've bought," people might be a bit like,
but then you get robbed.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I like that watch, and I know where it is.
A bit silly, isn't it?
But be careful that your choice of words when you're talking about the restaurant, the very expensive restaurant you went to. Be careful of your choice of words. Otherwise, boasting is very, very negative, I think.
What choice of words do you mean to be careful of? Would you think?
So I paid such and such amount. I went to this 5-star.
I can afford it.
Hotel.
You can't. It's really good. You can't go.
I bought the most expensive meal on the menu.
Right. I see what you mean.
Kind of
don't shove it down people's throats. Kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that story reflects a real trend as well in the travel and tourism industry, which is that it's much less about the room that you stay in anymore. It's about the experiences that you have. And so big hotels, chains, and all of the kind of marketers are very much going down that thing, which is, okay, what kind of unique things can we enable our guests to do while in that destination? Because I think people want to then share that because it's like, oh wow, look what I did, and people are going, yeah, I'd like to do that too, rather than thinking, oh, look at you showing off or doing it. They're thinking that's a recommendation that they appreciate and that they would like to do that too, and they feel that their lives are more enriched by experiences than stuff, which I totally agree.
So that's really interesting. I think also the flip side is how you view things yourself. So if I saw that you'd been to an amazing 5-star, great venue, holiday, it was amazing, I'd be like super happy for you. Great, cool. I wouldn't think, oh, look at Hannah. I'd just be like, oh wow,
that really, looks great. How nice.
So interestingly, you can flip it back on the person that's viewing it. That has it's their response to it, not just I'm telling you about my amazing. Look at the view from my bed, my beach view from my hotel, blah blah blah. Because I'd be like, that's gorgeous.
Well, that can be fun, but I found that often staying in 3-star hotels, you had more interesting people. My own experience. I don't know about other people.
Yeah, but that always reminds me of when I was backpacking in Australia, and there was loads of us. We were doing this. We did this trip on Fraser Island, and we were all camping together, and we were all sitting around a campfire drinking beer, and we were sleeping in tents. I mean, we were all in our early 20s, and we passed the only hotel on the very small island. It was a really extravagant 5-star hotel, and we all looked out the window and went, oh, doesn't that look lovely? Imagine being able to afford staying there, kind of thing. And then forgot about it. We were all having fun around the pool. And then this South African couple who were in their 30s, dripping in expensive jewellery, suddenly approached our camp and said, really sorry to bother you, hope you don't mind, but you sounded like you were having so much fun, and we're sitting in this hotel and it's so boring. Is there any chance we can join you? And we were like, yeah, of course, here's a beer,
There you go.
And they had the best night. It was so funny. And it was exactly that. They were staying in this lovely hotel, but there was nobody interesting to talk to. It was so true. Very funny. Okay, one more and we'll take an ad break. Women over 50 are now embracing midlife glow. This is talking about like a bucket list, thinking about things that you really want to do and, you know, either writing them down or just mentally saying, that's on my bucket list, whether it's often their travel experiences, things like seeing the Northern Lights, have an afternoon tea at the Ritz, travel on the Orient Express, all these kind of things. It does include other things like learn a new language or buy a holiday home, but most of them are places to see and things to do. Do you find that as you get older or getting older, you think about these kind of things a little bit more? Things that you really want to do, dare I say it, before you die type thing?
Definitely. Those two on that list, the top two, Northern Lights and the Orient Express, definitely want to do both of those.
I'd like to do those too.
Like really, I was like, oh my God, this is my list. I was like, but interestingly, the last one on that list was funny because it says financially independent. But you need all the financial independence at the start
to do all of
in order
those.
to do it. So it's like you need to get your ducks in a row and then get your money, then you go and do it. Definitely for me, you have a new lease of life because, like you say, you start to become more aware of your longevity, and you kind of like, oh, hang on, I need to get cracking. But it's exciting, and your kids are older, and you have more free time, so it's nice.
And I like the fact that article suggests what I feel. I think you do as well. Which getting older is no longer that thing of I'm having a crisis because suddenly I'm old. It's saying no, I have more financial freedom. I have more freedom with my kids, and I can do these things. And I want to now aspire to doing these things, not just wait until I retire to then do them.
And
so
do
I
it
think
when
that's
you're fit
maybe
as well,
changed.
and you're physically fit, because you leave it till you're too old and then you can't do it.
Yeah.
So 50 is a good age because you're not too old, you're still in good health and fitness generally. That's the time I think it's I really agree with that. I think it's really good.
I don't think I've ever had a bucket list. I just keep going along and do lots of things. Yeah, I've always had a very full life, and I don't really give much thought to age. I think perhaps one thinks about age if you're not well or you have some illness or some limitations. But as long as
you're living life to the full all the time. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's really
how nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think about age and retire, any of it. I just keep going.
But is there anything that you'd really love to do that you've not yet done?
Well, there's probably one or two things.
There's always something lurking in the background.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few things lurking there if I gave a bit more thought to it. But I'm doing quite well so far.
Oh, good. Well, that's great. What a lovely place to be in. I'm going to put you all on the spot now. Forgetting about money, forgetting about time off work, all that kind of thing. To pick one place that you really want to go to, what's kind of up there as your
Sri
biggest?
Lanka.
Yours is Sri Lanka?
Yeah, Sri Lanka for sure.
Okay, interesting. Why?
Yeah. I want to see the tigers.
Okay.
Because I'm like a 2-year-old.
I'd quite like to go to South Korea. It's quite a nice mixture of very, very modern and yet lots of history and culture. It's quite an interesting
I've had a friend who lived there and was a teacher for a while, and she absolutely loved it. Said it's an amazing place.
Yeah.
I think Japan.
That's mine. That's my top one.
I was going to say Japan.
Yeah, but then I'm also kind of really greedy because I was watching that Ewan McGregor Long Way Up, and they start at the tip of Chile and they go to LA, and now that looks like a good trip. All the way up through South and Central America up to America.
The thing is, if you start thinking, there's just so much you can do.
Many.
I mean, Vietnam, Cambodia,
on every continent.
Vietnam,
I mean, there's literally places on every continent that are in my top 10, maybe top 20. Yeah, but
better get cracking.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep earning more money. Oh, we better take a break now. I forgot about them.
Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Women Talk. With me in the studio today is Nikki Broom, Georgina Shaw and Rosalind Scott-Gibb. This article says that Italians are the best lovers. With their espresso-fueled stamina, seductive accents and abundance of charm, it may be no surprise that Italian lovers have been crowned the best in the world. But there's bad news for the British. In a study that lifts the lid on which nation performs best in the bedroom, researchers asked 2,000 Britons to name the nationality of the best lover they've ever been with. Italy strutted into first place with 21% of the vote, while Spain was second at 15%, Greece third with with 14%. Brazil in 4th place, the French after that, then Portuguese, then the Swedes, then the Australians, and disappointingly only 4% said that their best lover hailed from the UK. But we did at least beat the Germans, who finished with only 3%.
Wow.
Which is interesting. So, I mean, don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to all reveal your dating history or anything. But I mean, my first thought was, you can't categorise people by their nationality. I mean, that's just hilarious.
Well, you know what? To be honest,
yes, please do.
Since it's an honest, first of all, I wonder if that was written by an Italian. But,
yes,
but
quite
secondly, to be honest, I've always thought, because to me the cultural difference is very important, and the way a man treats me is very, very important part of whether he's going to
make it to the bedroom.
Whether he's going to be invited. And so I would actually put English, Canadian and Americans as the men that treat women with a reasonable amount of respect, and the others come quite far behind. So I'd love to know what you other ladies think about that.
Yeah, interesting.
I think interesting. So it's like, you know, the Italy and the sort of, you know, the more like Latin lover type images. So the culture is warmer, they're much more tactile, they kiss you more. You know, English people are quite cold, and I think sometimes it's to do with the climate. So England's quite cold, Germany's quite cold. Yeah. Whereas in a warmer climate, they're much more eating outdoors, everybody's touching each other. And people are more tactile. Do you know? I think it's more,
which is
how
funny,
they are.
Because when it's hot, I sometimes
get off.
I don't want to touch. Exactly.
No,
you know what I mean? And in the cold, you think you'd be hugging more.
Yeah.
So it's funny,
but you see, the other side of that is so they're touching everybody.
So you don't feel special.
I just think they're generally warmer, and they're more affectionate with the children, and they're more loving. And it just becomes. I think it's. And I honestly think it's. For me, it's to do with the climate. They're just a warmer, not just, you know, in a weather sense, but like a warm culture. Because English people are quite cold.
Was that a survey done asking English people as well? So I wonder that often, you know, if you think with like holiday romances stick in your mind. Because when I was hearing Greece being up there, I thought, huh? And then I thought, oh yeah, you know, Shirley Valentine, exciting holiday romance, it sticks in your brain. So I wonder about that, but I do know what you mean. I think there's probably a lot of charm coming from the Italians and the Spanish and the Portuguese, but also probably quite a lot of kind of sexist macho-ism as well.
And how many girls at the same time do they have? And I should say that, you know, the women that then go, like in Canada, they're called the snowbirds, who would go down to the Caribbean for their holiday. Or when I was in Kenya, the number of beautiful, intelligent, educated women coming over to have a little local holiday. So it depends what you mean by quote lover.
I can't share it on air, but I will share it in the ad break. But I wrote a poem called Italian Men when I was 15, which was based on an experience, not what you're thinking, an experience on a bus with some men getting a bit too close and were a bit too happy to see me. And I wrote a poem based on that experience. So I would never and have never go with Italian men since that happened at the age of 15. That really put me off. The whole kind of slimy sort of,
yes.
I lived in Italy. I went to university in Italy.
No offence to any Italian men listening.
Yeah, they're all really nice.
I'm sure you're lovely.
I thought they are quite charming and loving and affectionate. I think my experience in Siena, they were quite nice.
Yeah. There you go.
Happy memories. She's drifted off there.
Giorgio.
I remember going into a shop when I was smaller than that, being on holiday, and this guy grabbing both of my cheeks, going, "Hey, bambino," like that. I've never forget. It really hurt. Like it grabbed them really hard.
I suppose it's better than grabbing your bottom.
That's true, especially as a 7-year-old. Yes. This one talks about men's crocodile tears. If you've ever seriously riled your wife, it might be worth turning on the waterworks to calm things down. That's because crocodile tears are more believable when they come from men. Researchers asked thousands of participants to look at facial photographs that had been edited to appear tearful and then share how honest they thought the tears were. The test found that crocodile tears were most convincing in those least expected to cry, mainly men. So what do we think about men crying?
Well, it reminds me of a story my brother told me when his daughter, when she was going out with her potential husband, and she was worried about him because he would cry at sad films, and she was wondering if, nothing against gay men, but whether he was gay. And because he cried, and she was actually turned off by this idea, whereas in fact he's a wonderful man.
Yeah.
Anyway, she stayed with him, and 30 years later they're still together.
And he's not gay.
He's not gay.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with men or women crying.
No.
I think the fact that men cry less is probably a mixture of things, partly a social construct because they're expected not to, which I kind of really foster in my son, that if you want to cry. It's absolutely nothing. In fact, I think it's a sign of strength when men feel comfortable enough with the person that they're with to actually be vulnerable enough and sad enough to actually cry, because everybody cries. Do you know what I mean? And if you're not crying, there's a reason why you're probably not doing it. But some people cry more easily than others. And I think the whole concept of crocodile tears is just so inauthentic and fake. I mean, if your husband has to pretend to cry to resolve an argument or get empathy from your wife, then you're not in the right marriage. I mean, seriously, it's so weird.
Yeah. My husband and I always talk about when we're watching a film or a TV show or something, and something happens and it's sad, we'll both kind of look at each other and go, it's very dusty in here, isn't it? Because we'll both have glazed eyes. Blame the dust.
My son's always looking at me like, are you crying, Mum? And I'm like, yes, because it's emotional, and it was made to make us feel emotional. I cry really, really easily. I express my emotions. There's nothing wrong with that,
and it's actually good for them to see that.
And the more things that happen in your life, the more kind of reasons you have to cry, and you know what I mean, though. But when you when you lose people and you can connect to that emotion, when you're watching something about somebody dying and you're seeing the person crying who's losing their loved one, I mean, that gets you because if it's happened to you, you know how incredibly sad that moment is. So I would find it weird if I was watching something like that and the person would just be like, oh God, there's a sad bit coming up now.
In fact, it's a step forward if men feel free enough to show their emotions.
Exactly.
It's going to be much better for their physical, mental, emotional development and well-being. So it should be encouraged. I think it's nice.
Go on, cry.
Yeah.
You cry.
I think the only thing that used to bother me is when I was in an argument with my dad, particularly, and I would start to cry, and I'm like, don't mistake this for a sign of weakness. I'm still angry and right. I'm just also crying. That used to really annoy me. I was like, God damn it.
It's horrible. It's horrible, isn't it, when you can't control it. I hate it. It's not nice.
Oh, you're going to cry?
And then it's not. And it's not normally in those movie ones where everyone cries really prettily either. It's all snot and
ugly
bad,
crying.
ugly crying.
I remember once years ago, and this was before I had lost anyone actually, so it wasn't to do with that. But there was obviously something weird going on with my hormones, and I was only 17, 18, something like that. And I was crying, and I had no idea why I was crying. I was on holiday with an ex-boyfriend. I wasn't upset about anything. We'd had a lovely day, and I was just crying. And he's going, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm fine. I don't know why I'm crying." And then I was apologising for crying. I'm really sorry. I'm crying. I wish I could stop crying. But it was the weirdest thing. I've never forgotten it. It was horrible. It was horrible. I'm traumatised. Let's take another break while I have a deep breath.
Hannah Murray. TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You are listening to Women Talk. With me in the studio today is Nikki Broom, Georgina Shaw and Rosalind Scott Gibb. This is an article talking about the fact that babies born to fathers aged 60 and over contributed to the first rise in the number of births since 2021. I just wondered how you felt about men either becoming dads for the first time or being a dad with their wife, girlfriend, partner, whatever, having a baby when they are in their 60s.
We were saying before when we were looking at these, the woman is obviously not going to be in her 60s.
No.
So this is probably your sort of second marriage and things like that. And I don't fundamentally disapprove of it. I just feel a little bit for the child is going to be very obviously having this older father figure at least, and perhaps an older mother, and then might having to deal with illness, death, things like that of their parents much earlier in their own lives. And that's the only kind of downside I would say to that. But I think we're all, if you're fit and healthy and want to carry on doing it, you have the energy, good on you.
Yeah, because 6-year-old men now are pretty fit. The way, lifespan is sort of panning out. They are fit, they are younger, but you are right. You're always going to have an older dad. So there's also the not just the lack of energy and not going out kicking a ball or doing whatever with the kid, but also how other people perceive it, for the child to have to manage that as well. So they're having, at school, for example, they've obviously got a much older parent, probably a younger mother. Do you know what I mean? Which is fine. I don't have a problem with it, to be honest, because if they're happy and they're loved, that counts for so much more. But I just think it's people are so much fitter and younger now and living longer.
Yeah.
That 60 now, like when you're 60, you're not really how we might have perceived people at 60 when we were younger.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it's a relationship the child has having an older parent that you would have to navigate more than, say, having a dad that was 40.
There's lots of celebrities where the men are like 70s and 80s.
Yeah, Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
He was 79, I think, and he had a kid. And there was another one that was in his 80s. Can't remember who it was.
Al Pacino was 83.
Al Pacino, that was it.
I think that's a bit high.
I do. I mean, the reality is that obviously the partner is younger, but the reality, having a kid at 83. Yes, we're living longer, but the likelihood of Al Pacino being around when that child gets married is extremely unlikely.
Yeah, but then
and
the
that's
mother
sad
might
going into that. And, if they have a daughter, they know that the father isn't going to be able to give the daughter away at the wedding.
Yeah, but she can marry somebody younger then.
Yeah, I suppose.
Can I just say that's quite impressive at 83 to have a baby.
But you wonder of the motivation. I mean, is he just proving that he can or what?
Or no, I suspect he's got a younger woman, a younger wife or partner or whatever.
And she's
just like, I love you, but I really want to have a kid.
Yeah.
And when you're not here, then I've still got a kid that's part of you, and you're not going to be here forever, and I want to be a mother. And he's probably like, let's give it a go. Because they've got the money, haven't they?
Absolutely.
It's not like he's going to... So she's probably driven by her.
Yeah, for sure.
That's probably it.
Okay. The nursery rhyme Hickory Dickory Dock, which has been a favourite with children for centuries, has now been hit with a trigger warning. A London theatre putting on a glove puppet performance of the rhyme has advised parents it might alarm their toddlers because there is a scene with some tension where a cat chases a mouse. But nothing really scary.
It's absolutely pathetic. Literally pathetic. I mean,
isn't it unbelievable?
I mean, why is it even being written about? It's so pathetic. It's just like, honestly.
It's a joke, isn't it? There's no swearing in it. It's a cat chasing a mouse.
When I was in Toastmasters, and you have to do speeches on all different subjects, and this one happened to be on fairy tales. So I was going through all the traditional, a lot of them Swedish and Norwegian, and actually they were horrifying. What about the little I ended up choosing, because it was the least horrifying, the little match girl, and I was in tears when I was doing it myself. They're tragic and sad and terrifying and horrendous. So I have sort of a certain sympathy for that. And I think
but that's Hickory Dickory Dock. I mean, that's really that Aesop's fables, the ones that
the Brothers Grimm.
They're dark. Grimm's fairy tales. Having read them with my own kids, I mean, they are dark. They're dark.
But why do you think they stuck? They stuck because they're this, story of sort of struggle and overcoming things. I mean, the Disney films.
Exactly, I was about to say that.
Bambi's mum.
Disney's the same.
There's always tragedy. There has to be light and shade and everything.
And I suppose it's teaching children that life isn't all rainbows and butterflies, and people die and there is loss and there is horrible people out there.
And cats do chase mice. Yeah. I mean, that's the harsh reality of it.
Yeah.
I really worry for the kind of snowflake generation that are being protected from Hickory Dickory Dock with a trigger warning.
What
on earth are they going to come up against when real stuff happens to them?
Yeah.
But parents have to intervene and go, it's pathetic. You know what I mean? You have responsibility as a parent to say, don't, you've got to get a grip here. That's just, it's just, who buys into that? I mean, it's just nonsense.
It's there are so many worse things that can happen in a play and in the theatre.
Exactly.
I mean, they're doing trigger warnings all the time now. There's trigger warnings if there's swearing, if there's violence, if there's smoking, if there's drug use. Where does it stop? So to have a trigger warning about a cat chasing a mouse, you think the trigger warning list will be longer than the programme, wouldn't it? If that's the case, it just gets silly. Okay, we have one more ad break to take. Let's do that now, then we can relax.
Hannah Murray. TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're listening to the last part of today's Women Talk with Nikki Broom, Georgina Shaw and Rosalind Scott-Gibb. An increasing number of teenagers see AI chatbots as people, share intimate details with them and ask them for advice.
Wow.
35% of children using AI chatbots such as ChatGPT said it felt like talking to a friend. When a researcher said they were sad, ChatGPT replied, "I'm sorry you're feeling that way. Want to talk it through together?"
So I find this really, really scary. It's desperately worrying. I mean, it's just, if you go on ChatGPT, it's so real. And if you get, vulnerable child, there was a kid in the press not long ago who actually committed suicide.
That's right. Was advised to by the chatbot.
She was in love with the the AI bots and having this sort of intimate relationship, and they were talking through stuff, and it was almost sort of like not encouraging, but like and as if he took his own life, we'd end up sort of being together, and it was so disturbing.
Oh my!
I remember that story.
Do you remember it?
Really frightening.
It was so disturbing. But when you do use this tool, and it is just a tool, it's so real, and it's for kids particularly at that age when they're impressionable, they're sad, they're hormonal, their friends are being mean, they're being bullied or whatever. It's like a listening ear. If their parents aren't like that, they're not close to their parents.
Exactly. I was sort of seeing a positive spin on it from the point of view that if they can't talk to their parents and they don't have friends that they're close to have someone or something to talk to that's understanding, you can take a positive from that.
Yeah, but it's not real.
If it was properly controlled as well, and this is the problem, isn't it? They're going to be gathering all of this data. You don't know what ads are going to be served to you on the basis of what you're sharing with these beings. And I think it's a real reflection as well of the isolation that a lot of kids are feeling, how they're living their lives online. They don't really know who to talk to or what to do. And I agree with you. I think it's very scary. I think there is a place for this if it was properly controlled, but it needs to be so carefully controlled. And how do you even train it? I mean, it would have to be a whole team of counsellors and all of that kind of thing to do it.
Well, there was a woman who came on Women Talk 2 weeks ago, and she had an AI therapist. And she said it was absolutely incredible. And she had trained it. Yeah. I know it's not an impressionable young person. It's a woman who's together who has had human therapy for many years. And she, just as an experiment, because it was in the paper that AI therapists were just as good, if not better, than human therapists. So she thought, okay, I'll give this a go.
Wow.
And she spent a lot of time and effort training this therapist. So the therapist initially agrees with everything you say, and she said, no, don't agree with that. I made the wrong decision. You need to tell me that was a stupid thing to do. She's taught him to swear. And literally she's sent me some of the transcripts of things that he said, and it's really quite incredible.
Yeah, but I think that is desperately worrying. Because
I think we're going down the wrong road. Going that way is really very, very dangerous and counterproductive, and doesn't help communication between, like where you both have young, teenagers, and to learn to communicate effectively with people of your own sex and opposite sex and parents and adults and teachers and everything else. And what's happening is a breakdown in communication. I mean, a lot of my students, they absolutely don't know how to communicate. Basic communication, they've never learned it.
That comes from home, though, as well. A big part of that has to come from how you interact with your parents.
That's the problem. It's not coming from
getting
home.
But that ties into that. If a child is vulnerable and needs help and advice, the fact that they're turning to an AI bot to support them, particularly like a vulnerable teenager, that also it's a part of a much bigger problem, because you should be, like you say, speaking to somebody real. But I just think the other problem is it's not properly regulated. That's the problem. So there's no framework around it that monitors it in a properly regulated way, and it's going to literally just go get bigger and bigger.
You can imagine that some youngsters that are really tech savvy just start the conversation just for a bit of fun and interest. I mean, you can imagine a lot of adults. I've got a friend who's like massively into AI and talks about how incredibly useful it is both for business and personal if you want it to. But even with Echo Dots or all the different things that we might have at home devices. You know, my husband always asks silly questions to see what the answer you're going to get, things like that, because it's been a novelty over the years, something that you've never been, you know, asking what the weather's going to be like, and it tells you. That's really cool. You know, years ago when they first came out, it was such a novelty. So a lot of this, you know, the idea that you can say to your computer, I'm not feeling very well today, should I go to school or not, and that it'll give you an answer, is a cool, fun thing that you can imagine that if it happened when we were young, we easily might have thought, oh, this is fun, as opposed to thinking, oh, this is a substitute friend or substitute therapist, just engaging in conversation, because it's fun and different.
There's going to be a lot of that. I think the issue is when it goes to the next level, and what safeguard is in place, you know. Done properly, I could imagine actually a sort of AI therapist or this kind of thing being used to perhaps then trigger a call to Childline or the Samaritans or something, where there's some sort of funnel that says this young person is at risk,
help,
and something triggers in. That could be a very positive use of this kind of technology, but it needs to be so carefully, like you said, regulated and trained.
The problem is that the regulations are too far behind. It's developing too quickly, and it's not being regulated fast enough and effectively enough. And that's what's really terrifying for young people growing up now.
Definitely. Okay, this is on a similar subject. More than 2 in 3 parents say finding quality time as a family is becoming more difficult because of the demands of phones and social media. How do you get through this?
Just can't bear them. It's in London now. I know the schools are much more on it. Loads of schools, you're just not allowed to take your phone in now. You physically, and you can't. And if you're say, secondary school, teenage years, you cannot have a smartphone. So you can have an old Nokia brick. Do you remember? That do calls and texts. You're allowed to take that. So when you leave, you can call and message and say I'm on my way or whatever. But you're not allowed to have smartphones. London's getting quite ahead of the curve on this, because they now know. We kind of missed it. My kids were just a bit too old, but now kids going in, they're much more across it, because it just takes over your life. You know what it's like when you're with the kids. Put the phone away, put the phone away, put the phone away. We're at a table, we're having dinner, and it wears you down. And it's just like tunnel vision.
Well, and Sweden has come forward with going back to books, and they're bringing textbooks back into the classroom to get away from computerization.
Everybody's on an iPad at school. They all do their work on an iPad.
That's what we have at my son's school as well, and I just think there's no way of controlling, because like, with you were saying, we're behind with the regulation and AI. All teachers will always be behind smart kids, because they can find a loophole in any kind of security system you're going to do. And so it's just too tempting. Here I am, supposed to be working. Ooh, I could be on YouTube. Ooh, I could be on Roblox. Ooh, I could be doing this. And I just think it is very sad, but it is also down to the parents and the schools to be really very clear. There is times, meal times or whatever, where the phones, everybody's, because I think parents are bad too.
If parents are doing
everybody's phones
that
are
annoys me.
out.
That really annoys me.
And my poor son is almost always on a tech ban for some reason or another. And when he's on it, it is so different. And I can
100%.
He likes
that is
it.
so true.
He likes it just as much as we do.
It's so true. But the worst is when you go for dinner, and you're like, or go out to a restaurant, you're like, phones away, and you're constantly saying it. When you see the parents on their phones, and the kids, all 4 of them, or however many, sat at a table, all like scrolling, and you're like, how are they going to be, you know what I mean, have an awareness if they're seeing their parents do it, when actually you should be playing a game, playing Uno, playing cards, talking, and it's a constant thing, because the phone is such an easy.
It's so easy.
And the worst thing, of course, is when you see the mother giving a 2 or 3-year-old something to entertain them, that they can. Well, I mean, I suppose they're learning language, maybe, or they're maybe. But
I have to say, Rosalind, I used to be very judgy about that until I had a 2 or 3-year-old, and then I was like,
me too.
oh my God, like I've said like, hello, did you have hello? then we've done that to each other, and it's like, oh my goodness, I actually would like to speak to my husband and eat my food. And so there was quite a lot of that where I'm like, okay, look, this is going to be for a short amount of time, but it is also important to have
controlled.
It's
managing it, isn't it?
And it makes a huge difference knowing what your kids are doing online, which I understand must be very, very difficult. But a friend of mine was saying that her daughter, because she can see what she does online and just checks every so often just to make sure. Yeah. And all she does is play numerical games, like Sudoku, but something different.
Good,
and you just think, how amazing is that? That's, I mean, it's not necessarily always going to be the case, but for the moment, she's playing educational games, which is just brilliant.
She's young or
13.
That's very good.
Oh, she's got some sort of filter.
12.
She's got some sort of filter on there, let me tell you. She's on TikTok. She's buying a vape in the local shop. Mummy, I'm on Sudoku. Don't worry. I was like, oh, I'm so proud of her. We know. That's not true. I'm like, oh, really?
She's found a loophole there for
she definitely covered that one up.
Yeah.
No, but each child is different.
Yeah, I know. I'm being flippant, but she's very good.
Yeah.
I think the key is as well to know your own child and how they're being affected by these things, because some kids that I've seen, even when my son was small, could pick up a tablet and watch some things, play some games, and happily give it back. And my son was never like that. He would dive into this technology and be sucked into it. Yeah. And it was so obvious that it was really impacting him in a big way, positively or negatively, but he wasn't able to kind of take it in a slightly...
regulate himself.
Not regulate himself, not keep things light. Yeah. And so we were always very aware of that. But
that's
I noticed,
good, though. That's good,
yeah. But I noticed with other friends of mine that maybe kids were a bit easier with that. Then as it got older, it just sort of crept into being a really big problem, which at that point is much more difficult to solve.
Yeah, it's almost a bit late, isn't it?
Yeah. Interesting. This is, the article reads, The Key to Being Happier, Smarter and Aging Better, by a leading neuroscientist who says that being busy is destroying our brains. This is going back to what we started with.
I thought that when you said it earlier. Done a loop.
Yeah. So these are all quite simple things, but one of them just says, let the mind wander. Which I thought was really interesting, because again, when we're all so busy, just that idea of sitting there and just not thinking about anything else, not thinking about what you're doing now, what you're doing later, just looking out the window, looking at the trees, looking at the flowers, looking at the sky.
I fall asleep.
That's here as well. Sleep on it. That's one of the things.
Sit down and I'm like, oh. Yeah, it's like for 10 minutes here. You're looking just fast asleep in front of him.
And also connected to that, turn down the noise. Yeah. So again, if you're on your own, instead of always reaching for your phone or always turning the television on or turning music on, just have some moments of being and being quiet.
Well, I do find it very therapeutic. I go sit in the garden. It's very quiet, and there's tree. It's all green, right?
Nice.
And green is good.
Yep.
George the cat comes out with me. He loves it when we're together and we sit together.
Yeah.
And so we talk to each other and just sort of lie there calmly and not think about anything. It's very, very therapeutic.
It is good
for him as well.
And for him,
both of
he
you.
loves it. Absolutely, yeah.
I think that is something that a phone has kind of taken away, which is when we're travelling or waiting for the bus or doing something, we sort of instantly get your phone out and kind of dive into that, rather than just looking out of the window and thinking.
Everyone used to love people watching, and you just think how much less we do it now.
Absolutely.
Because when we have the opportunity to people watch, most of the time it's a prime time
I still love people watching.
Yeah,
If you sit
it's a
outside
great
a cafe,
thing to do.
yeah.
Exactly. But so often when you see people sitting in
always like
cafes, they're all on their phones.
We're always and head down.
Yeah.
I do worry that we're not kind of as engaged with the world around us or the people around us like we used to be. And I think there will be a backlash. I think that there's going to be a generation, and it might be our children's age, which suddenly go, what are we doing? You know, we're not communicating properly with anyone. As you said, Rosalind, we're not meeting people, we're not being outside, we're not enjoying life fully because we are just sunk into our devices.
It's interesting because my daughter's 14 and at school she's at boarding school, but she can have her phone for half an hour a day. And she's 14.
Wow.
And for most 14-year-olds, that is like absolute purgatory.
Yes.
But that for me is like, it's 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Perfect. And if you're in London, she'd be literally on it like, I don't know, 23 hours.
Yeah.
Something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like literally, people are definitely becoming much more aware of how damaging it is. Because when it all came out, it was all like, I can go on the internet, I can surf, I can call, I can text, and it was all quite exciting.
Yeah.
And nobody really understood the bigger impact, the bigger picture. But now, definitely in England, they're much more with children, much more across it and aware of it.
Yeah,
which is good.
We driving in the car the other day, turned around the corner, and these two youngsters who were, I don't know, 15, 16, a boy and a girl, both on their phones, just crossed the road. We had to slam on the brakes. They weren't looking at all. They got to a zebra crossing, and they weren't near the zebra crossing. They kind of appeared from behind a car. Yeah. And just automatically walked across the road, both looking at their phones, and we were like, "Oh my God, this is so dangerous!"
Yes, so dangerous. Find that in San Pedro.
It was in San Pedro. Yeah. One of the other things is enjoy playtime. We've got 30 seconds left. We can play in 30 seconds. Yes, just the whole idea of not being too stressed and work, and enjoy socialising and having fun
and
with your friends and laughing.
Yes, and having things we enjoy playing, just having fun.
What a nice note to end.
Yes, absolutely.
Smiling and laughing and having fun with people we enjoy being with.
Exactly.
On that note, Howard Brereton is next with Spain Today. I'm actually back with you on Tuesday. I'm not here on Monday, so I'll be back with you on Tuesday at 4. Have a wonderful weekend and enjoy the sunshine and laugh lots.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit tre.radio.